Joining us now, Arizona Congresswoman Martha McSally. She's a member of the House Committee on Armed Services and Homeland Security. So, Congresswoman, what do you think of the president's decision to cancel this meeting?
Well, I totally agree with his decision, especially the developments of the last few days. Look, Kim Jong-un has continued to play around with this thing, and he's trying to act like he's an equal to us on the world stage. The reality is that he's a gnat in charge of a failed state. President Trump is the leader of the free world, and this is not a game. And so just the rhetoric that they have used, it's gone beyond posturing and back to the threats. And so I totally agree that President Trump needed to walk away to remind him we're going to continue the maximum pressure campaign to crank up the noose on this failed state to stop them from achieving a nuclear weapon that can threaten our country.
They referred to Vice President Mike Pence as a political dummy. Is this a case of sort of tit for tat, or is that reason enough to withdraw from a summit?
Well, that combined with the threats, again, he's trying to act like he is an equal, and he's not. I mean, they have a net income per capita of 5% of those living in just South Korea. They're an oppressive, failed state, and through the leadership of President Trump and this administration, they have cranked up maximum pressure on them. We need to continue to choke it off in order to stay focused on our vital national interests. So I think it was right, again, for President Trump to say, enough is enough. I am not dealing with you as a peer. We are trying to give you a path forward that's good for your people, but we're not playing games with this. So he's walking away. You know, President Reagan walked away from Reykjavik with Gorbachev. Eventually won the Cold War. But the difference here is that he's not a near peer in North Korea. They are a rogue state, and it's a failed state, and they're not going to continue on their path.
I know that you're heading to that part of the world. What's the purpose?
I am. I'm leading a congressional delegation over there in the next few days. Can't get into specifics for security purposes. But our intent was to be able to get eyes on the ground, talk to the troops, talk to the military leaders, also our diplomatic leaders and those of South Korea to see what's really happening, look at what our readiness situation is. Should we need to, our troops are ready to defend our national interest and do all that it takes in order to make sure that they don't have a nuclear weapon able to hold an American city hostage. So I wanted to get there firsthand. It's a bipartisan trip, see what's going on the ground. This is obviously critical timing.
Our viewers might know that you're the first woman to fly in combat for the U.S. Air Force. As a veteran, as someone who has seen combat, nobody likes the prospect of war less than a veteran. No. But, you know, the North Koreans, if they do not come to their senses, is that realistically on the table?
Well, I think, again, this administration, President Trump, and all of those around him know, and we are clear-eyed, that what we cannot happen is have North Korea hold an American city hostage with a nuclear weapon. That cannot happen. We must stop that from happening. We're using all elements of national power. Right now, it's a maximum pressure campaign with economic sanctions and diplomatic pressure. And if we need to, we have to have all options on the table. The whole idea of deterring your enemy from doing something so dangerous is that you have to be willing and able to make it so painful for him that he has to change his behavior. And so if needed, we will have a military ready, and they are able, and we are willing to stop them holding one of our cities hostage. It would be an awful scenario, but it's a second worst scenario to having a nuclear weapon and an ICBM in his hands.
Congresswoman Martha McSally, Republican from Arizona. Keep us updated about that trip to the Korean Peninsula.
I will when we get back. We'll give you a report. Thanks, John.
We'd like that. Thank you.